literally means useful. It means very useful man for my work. Your slave should be, your helper should be a very useful person. Right? That's what a worker should be useful. And the name itself is a very useful person, a slave in Philemon's household. So one day, Onesimus, after robbing his master, flees to Rome. So he robbed up his things, he flees to Rome where he meets Paul. Perhaps he had seen Paul when Onesimus was in the household when he baptized him. So according to the Roman law at the time, a citizen had the duty to return a runaway slave to a owner. Because the owner has the right, it is a property. So Paul being a Roman citizen, Philemon being a Roman citizen, he has to hand over the property. A slave cannot be my slave because you are the slave of Philemon, right? And the slave, when he goes back, what happens? He could be punished for his disloyalty, for stealing, and with a brand on his arm, a stamp on his leg or forehead that he is a robber, he is a slave, so everyone would know, or he could be killed. A slave was granted freedom only as a reward for his work, for his loyalty to a master. So mostly when the owner dies, he writes in a will that after me the slave can go free. That is the only time perhaps he can hope for freedom. And yet Paul, in today's world, we could call it stupidity. Maybe human rights activists and social activists and promoters of human rights would say Paul was stupid in any way to think of sending this man back to whom? Philemon. Even at that time, they must have thought, why Paul, a Christian, sending a slave to him, to his friend, again perhaps to be punished or to be killed? He neither condemned slavery nor asked Philemon to free Onesimus. That's what you and me do, It's okay, now you please allow him to go free. That is the human way. But God's counsel is different, as we heard in the first reading today. God's counsel, God's way of bringing peace, reconciliation into our life is very different from the way that we want to bring. He sends him back to the owner. But it is not why he sent. The question we should ask, how he sent him back. That's what we hear in the reading today. First, he writes this letter. He writes, I, Paul, an old man, whom we call an old man. In your family, you are the young one, very modern, educated, and there is an experienced man in your family and says, my son, don't be like this, you say you're an old man. You do not belong to this world. You belong to the old generation. This man, very humble. He was not old at the time. He's only in the 50 years after death and resurrection of Jesus, he writes his letter. So he was not old. He says, I, an old man, and now also a prisoner for Christ Jesus, which means I have no power. Actually, I have nothing, powerless in the prison. And I urge you on behalf of my child. He doesn't mention that your slave, but my child, Onesimus. He's so humble to say, I, as a very unworthy man, an old man, a prisoner, and I urge you on behalf of my child. He's not his child. You see how he makes an impression on the other person to see another person differently. You don't see it as a slave, but as my child. And he says, as my child, I sending him to you, but as like my own heart. Which means, a part of my heart is coming back to you. So, he prepares him, he baptizes him, and he sends him. He prepares him so well, so that when he arrives there, anyone who reads the letter will accept. See this humility of this man, St. Paul. And he said, In fact, I like him so much, I should have kept him with myself. He's such a nice child. He may be a slave of yours, but for me he's a nice child, a Christian. I could have kept him with myself as a beautiful gift to serve me on behalf of you. But I don't want this gift with compulsion. I want it freely. If you tell me, keep it your child with you, I will keep. But I will send him to you. But when you receive him not as a slave any longer, but receive him as a brother. As a brother. In other words, he was telling him that you cannot see him as a slave anymore, but as a brother. I'm sure it must have been very hard for a Philemon, a slave owner like a Philemon, to accept a runaway slave, a robber, to accept him in his household as a brother. It must have been very hard. It's a big challenge. But that's what Paul demanded of him, because he's a Christian leader where all the people come together, say their prayers and worship. And therefore, he should set an example first. He establishes a relationship between, a beautiful new relationship between a master and his servant. The master and his servant. Still he will work for him, but the relationship changes. He may not have directly condemned the slavery system at the time, but perhaps sowed the seeds for eradication of slavery among Christians. Believers, by introducing a new relationship between a master and a servant. He could be still a slave. He could be still working for you, but you treat him humanely. You treat him as a fellow human being. You don't look at the dress. You don't look at the level of the stage there where you are working. It's beautiful. That is the way we need to have relationship. He says, it's not that someone has to work under you, but you don't have to treat him badly. You don't have to even call him a slave. Because since the whole society is built upon this system, he wants to change the individuals first before bringing any change in society. Changes within oneself before bringing changes in the society. And therefore, in his letter to the Corinthians, he says, we are baptized in one body, in a single spirit, Jews as well as Greeks, slaves as well as freemen. They were all given the same spirit. Therefore, we are equal before Jesus. No difference. Master and slave, human beings. What is the message for us? I'm sure all of you, whether you are Chinese or Filipinos or Indians, young or old, all of us are beautiful teaching. First, we must put Jesus and his teaching first in our life.